let's talk about some of these incurable diseases that are curable. You found, and then I'm gonna ask you a follow up question to that. What are some of these? Because I know Dr. Sebi had to fight for himself. You know, he had to go argue in D.C. about what he's capable of doing, and won.
Yeah, I mean, because and he won because he was absolutely right. Yeah, and now it's even more intelligent to not even call it disease, because the more and more I study, the more we in the laboratory and we taking these cells and we putting them on petri dishes and we actually studying them under these thermal microscopes, and you see how they move and pleomorphosize themselves and evolve. Disease is not a disease at all. Now, if we're talking about disease as I'm sitting in this chair and I got to lean towards my mic and I feel a little discomfort in my neck, I would call that a disease. But sitting here calling herpes a disease, diabetes a disease, technically we cannot call them diseases. The body was miraculously made, as y'all hear me say all the time, and the Creator created our body with a self-healing mechanism called a sewage system, which is called the lymphatic system. So anytime you start experiencing any of these discomfort, we will run to the doctor, because the doctor have taught us that these are symptomologies of diseases. But what happened if that's a lie? These are actually symptomologies of detoxification. And like, you can just take people through simple cold and flu-like symptoms to discover this. Like, for instance, if you cough, when you cough, they will give you a cough suppressant, right? Yeah. To suppress the cough deep within the bronchial tubes. But if you cough and you feel the physiology or the functionality of a cough, it's actually breaking up coagulating mucus within inside the respiratory system. So a cough is helping you expectorate and get rid of mucus. What about a sneeze? If you sneeze, chew. If you put your hand in front of your mouth, you will actually feel the expectorants of particles come from your mouth and hand. So a sneeze and a cough, these are not symptomologies of flus. These are symptomologies of detoxification. What about skin diseases, skin disorders? If your kidneys is not working properly, the skin is known to be the biggest organ on the body. Not only that, it's the biggest eliminative organ on the body too. So if your skin, or you wake up with acne, pimples, psoriasis, and things like this is your skin working to defecate, because on a cellular level, you're not defecating properly, or your kidneys cannot break these things down through the lymphatic system, and you can't urinate it out through urea. So you can't give me no disease where I can't give you a different perspective on how to actually look at it. What's happening is these doctors in the allopathic community and these big old royal families that go back into the ancient Phoenician times, they have figured out a way to take over the world. And one of the ways to take over the world is through the allopathic community, because it makes billions and trillions of dollars a year. So if I can convince the population that God, natural ability and rights that he gave us of the body is to heal itself, if I can convince you that these are not symptoms of healing, but this is symptoms of your body being an enemy of itself, then you're going to do anything to eradicate that enemy. And that's the reason why the moment that you get diagnosed with cancer, which is one of the biggest hoax in the world.
Talk about that.
Cancer is amazing detoxification symptoms. When you look at cancer, they talk about mutagens, or they talk about how cells coagulate themselves together, and then it's a process called cellular mitosis or cellular meiosis. And all this means is the dividing of a cell. In order for a cell to replicate itself, it have to divide itself. Each cell have a cell cycle of 70 divisions. So a cell will actually divide itself 70 times and replicate itself before it dies and make a new cell through something called deoxyribonucleic acid. It takes a photographic picture of itself called ribonucleic acid, or what they call RNA, and then after that, it gives birth through a ribosome. So the body is made of 150 trillion cells when it comes to black people, or so-called black people, because black is the color of a crown. So if you look at Caucasians, their body is about 37 to 50 trillion cells. So we have a lot of more cells than them. But when you look at these cells and you put a cell under a microscope, these cells have something called organelles, just like your body have something called organs. So an organ would be a liver, an organ would be your intestines, an organ would be a heart, an organ would be your respiratory system in your lungs. Your cells have the same exact organs, but they called organelle. So if you can get constipated at a body level, on a macro level, then that means you can get constipated on a micro level. If you can have a heart attack, which I need to quit saying the word heart attack, because I didn't have a heart attack. I physically attacked my heart by eating the wrong foods and living in the wrong environment. So I want to set that straight too. I didn't have a heart attack. I attacked my heart for living the lifestyle that I was living. And that's the whole thing. We have to quit acting like our bodies are enemies to ourselves. No, our bodies is what we living in. These are temples. We are enemies to our own bodies, and our bodies are breaking down through this healing process called detoxification. We have been taught that this detoxification process is disease when it's not. So I was talking about the body is made of 150 trillion cells, and each of these cells have organelles. If you look at the word organelles, it just means small parts. And the reason why, because you have something called the Golgi apparatus of the cells that act like the liver. You see that? Act just like the liver, or act as a birth canal, because that's what gives birth to actually new cells. You have something called the vesicle in the cell that acts like a bladder. So inside your cell, you have something that holds fluid like a bladder, like your actual bladder holds your urine. Inside the cell, you have something called the cytoplasma of the cell, which act as the skin of the cell. It actually act as the skin. Your skin and your hair reaches out to the environment and scans the environment, and based off the information that's given back to your skin, because your hair is an extension of your nervous system, it'll show you how to interact with your environment, whether you take flight, or you run away from your environment, or you engage in your environment. The actual cell plasma membrane of your cells do the same thing. You even have a digestive system in your cell, and it's called lysosomes. And what lysosomes do is it break down all of the metabolic waste that your cells eat, because your cells have to eat. So you have the blood system. The blood is what feeds the cells of the body, all its phytonutrients. It feeds it oxygen. In exchange, oxygen for carbon dioxide, your macronutrients, your proteins, or what I'm going to call amino acid structures, right? So that's what the blood do. It feeds the cells of the body. Then you have the nervous system that communicates and commands the cells of the body. It tells the cells what to do with inside the molecular structure. Then last but not least, you have this big old sewage system that's called the lymphatic system. And that picks up all the toxemia or metabolic waste from the cells, and then it takes it through something called a lymph node. Inside these lymph nodes, you have macrophages, or what they call the immune system, which I do not believe in an immune system. I believe that's a made up word to keep us away from the big word, the lymphatic system. See that? Because if they don't, knowledge is power. If they can throw other words in there, and then you start Googling and searching, and if you don't know the real word, the same way they did with our history, they did with our nationality, they do with everything else, you will be chasing your tail like this endless cycle, and you would never get to the true facts and knowledge that'll keep you from being oppressed by people that actually benefit from you being oppressed.
Welcome back to Breakdown Friday. Joseph Ward, Professor Carl, Tone Jones, Patrick Irvin. We are here breaking down this clip from the Sway in the Morning podcast, or the Sway in the Morning radio show, rather, featuring the brother Yahki Awaken, as the brother is giving health information. He's a health guru, and he's giving information about how to be healthier. Because one thing we know, that Black America ain't healthy. Overall, we all agree that we need to be healthy. We need to change the way we eat. We need to change the way we think about our health. We need to change the way we need to change our whole lifestyles, because it's a lot of wide backs out here, right? On both sides, men's and women's. It's a lot of wide backs out here, right? So we need to be healthier. Now, we do have some pushback on some of the information that was said, especially about the way that we can cure certain diseases, specifically things like herpes, some of the HIV, some of the STDs. He didn't mention HIV in this specific clip, but herpes and diabetes was kind of put in the same category, and we got some pushback on that, because we want to make sure we put some context to the information that's coming out there within our community, to make sure that we're taking the proper steps to get the right treatment, the right healing, so we won't hurt ourselves. You know, once again, I have a 14-year background in working in STD prevention. I'm not saying I know it all, but I know a little bit. And so we're going to go into all that today. So, hey, man, Pat, let's go ahead and get this off, man. Especially the part we were talking about being able to use natural remedies to cure certain diseases like herpes, not diabetes, but something like herpes. What is your thoughts on that? But overall, you know, what's your thought on the clip and the information that the brother is giving? There you go. You're showing that from the beginning.
Are we past 2 minutes?
Yeah, we way up past 2 minutes.
Okay. I'm mad at Sway.
I am too.
I don't even know that I want to address the foolishness that I just heard, but I'm mad at Sway for giving it a platform. You want to talk about spreading disease? Okay. So, Joe, I know you know this because you called me and said this to me as you prepped me for this. This brother basically just gave biology 101 and fucked up a good bit of the facts. He didn't say anything. Okay. He used a lot of words to say a bunch of like stuff that's really like basic. The symptomology of disease is not really the symptomology of disease. It's the symptomology of your body trying to fight back. It's the symptomology of an immune response. We know this. We know that when you right, but we know that when you cough, it is your body trying to expel a foreign object that is inside of your respiratory tract. We know this, right? Like, so even doctors will tell you this. What is a cough? A lot of the good doctors nowadays will tell you that they only really want you to take medication to suppress symptoms when it is interfering with your daily life. When you need to do things and you can't go about doing those things because of your symptoms, then you need to take something to suppress the symptoms so that you can go about your daily life. Other than that, I've heard plenty of good now we know there are a lot of bad doctors out there too. I'm not even trying to discount that. But we know that a lot of good doctors will tell you that it is well done. We went through this with COVID, where that was a whole thing 3-4 years ago, where people were finding out, coming into this awakened state. And this is why I be saying, when people be talking about the world is becoming enlightened, I be like, that's bullshit. No, it ain't. Because just 4 years ago, everybody was a health expert talking about the cytokine storms and how the immune responses to the COVID virus and the vaccine was killing people. So we knew that at that point, everybody should have known that the body's response to disease or foreign invaders or whatever you want to call it is what was killing people, not necessarily the foreign invader itself. We were having this conversation 4 years ago. Now he come around and he addressed it different, and you got motherfuckers in the background talking about, yes, the food tastes real good when you ain't never ate it before. What are you doing? Shut up. So he starts talking about cancer. First off, even with that, a bunch of big words to say basic shit. Anybody, if you don't know what cancer is, you shouldn't even be in these conversations to begin with. But cancer is what happens when there is a flaw in the coding of a cell and the cells begin to multiply rapidly. That is essentially cancer. They don't die. That is the essential problem of cancer. The cells continue to multiply. They don't die. He had this whole thing about this, that, and the third, and boom, 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 and never addressed the core issue of the problem is the fact that the cells don't die. Plenty of us have cells throughout our body that could at any point in time become cancerous. Nearly all the time. They don't become cancerous because of one or two things. The cell self-destructs, or the immune system identifies the cell and destroys it before it becomes a problem. So he is right when he talks about regulation. But then when he's talking about cellular limits and all of this other stuff, and like you didn't even have a conversation about telomeres. How are you having a conversation about the life cycle of cells and not mentioning telomeres? How are you having conversations about black people having more cells than white people, but not bringing anything to bear to back that up?
Right.
How, like, what are you talking about? And then, like, because cancer can be caused by a bunch of different things. It's not all the same. It's not all the same. It's not. It don't. They don't even all function. Yeah, it's different types of cancers, different causes of the different types of cancers, and all of these things. So, look, when people start spouting this health shit, it bothers me because are now. Because you're compromising people's lives, right? Like I'm not gonna sit here and say Western medicine is the greatest medicine in the world, because we know that people were healing themselves long before Western medicine showed up. That's fine. But here's the thing. When you're gonna spew your bullshit, at least make sure your bullshit makes sense. If the Western model is wrong, give us a model that's right, that explains the things that we're seeing better than the Western model does. I don't want to hear you tell me that herpes is the cause of a mucus showing up in the wrong place, as some people that follow Dr. Sebi have said. But then, if that's true, then how do you explain getting herpes from making contact with somebody that has an open herpes sore?
Right.
If it's all about mucus, explain the contagion part of it. Because that part is explained in Western medicine. We can agree with it, disagree with it, that's fine. But it's not explained in your theory at all. So many things about the way illnesses move and spread are not explained in a lot of these theories. This guy, organelles, what that means is, look, if you are a grown adult and have never heard the term organelle, your entire ecosystem failed you.
You might have went to school in Tallahassee.
like this ain't even just on the school. The entire area, the whole state failed you if you have never heard the term organelle as an adult. If anything this dude said blew your mind, I'm not even mad at you. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. You could blame environmental racism. Maybe it's all the lead in the paint, in the water. You know, maybe it's that we've been drinking the Ferguson stuff. It's not on you. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at everybody that was a part of your life up to this point.
Because you're supposed to know.
But I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. What do I know? I mean, I got to piss right now, so maybe that's another symptomology of my body failing to properly detoxify itself. Is the fact that I got to go urinate. Maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. Or it could be that I drank a lot of water, and now I got to go piss, because that's a natural consequence of that. I don't know. I mean, I can use a lot of big words too, like okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You on one, ain't you?
That shit was that was a big ass pile of shit. Like that's fucking Jurassic Park 1 dino dropping.
Look, that's why we here to break stuff down. All right. Well, we know how Pat feels.
All right, PC, disagree with me, please.
What you got, PC? What are your overall thoughts on the video? Also, same like Pat, what are your thoughts on him? His theory on being able to cure herpes, or his explanation of being able to cure herpes.
Well, first I have a confession to make.
Here you come with the late night.
My community has failed me, Patrick. I do not know what organelle is.
Now you do know who organelle is. That's Leroy brother. Organelle Leroy brother used to live on the block from me.
Use organelle in the scenes.
That's Junebug and them cousins.
Yeah, organelle live up the street right next to Leroy.
I was holding that in for a minute. So, and listen, man, I get past frustration because I remember, back in 2000, Pat was doing a hell of a lot of research, not on just COVID, but also the vaccine, and he followed all the trials and shit. Like
we was all doing that. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
they was like, "No, you get COVID from the 5G towers."
Yeah. You got to wear special emeralds to protect you from it.
I was like, because I was asking people, I was like, so you're telling me a virus is being transmitted, a live virus is being transmitted through airwaves? Okay,
Bruh. After that point, I hung up the phone.
I quit.
Pat left.
You gotta go pee.
Yeah, so, but now and because I, as y'all both know, have had ailments in the past, not herpes and all that stuff. I would be clear about that. But I have done, I have worked with health coaches. One in particular, a good brother of mine, Phil Washington, he's down near you in Florida, Joe. I actually moved down there not too long ago. Who's helped me, with not just homeopathic but natural medicines, vitamins, minerals, and things of that nature, to sort of get my life on track to the point where my health has improved a lot. I've lost over 80 pounds since then. You know what I'm saying? So and it's a slow, natural process. So it's not one of those I'm just going to show up skinny one day. I don't want to just show up skinny one day. Then people will start asking me if I'm sick.
That's crap.
Right. Well, it's something else, But so
hives.
Right. So and I want to be really careful here, because when I listen to the brother, I'm not gonna lie, those word combinations threw me off. It was like listening to somebody talk to me and start, utilizing calculus and so forth. And you're teaching it to somebody that barely passed college algebra. So that was a little much. And I think that if that's the case, you probably shouldn't be the one talking about it. You should be the one just doing the work, because it needs to be broken down to a point where you can actually explain it to people. Like, you should be able to explain it to a child if you're going to say it. Pat, you wild, but I know you're frustrated, but you're right when you start talking like that, because he could have been making sense, but it seemed like he was so excited, he was all over the place. So the basic things he was saying, it was all out of context, and in the process was extremely confusing. I don't think he ever landed his plane. I don't think the plane made it off the tarmac, to be honest with you. I used to work with a brother by the name of Mr. Inking, right? Well, I won't say work with him. I used to, talk to him a lot, and I used to buy some of his products. He had a really good colon cleanser. A really good what is it? Candida cleanse. He had a really good Candida cleanse back in the day. And I used to, he used to be a Black and Nobel here in Philly. So I would go talk to Inky, and then we would, we built a relationship over a couple of years, but just basically talking about the different things in terms of natural medicines and applying. But see, here's the difference. Inky also went to medical school, so he was able to apply both the natural sciences as well as understand the operations of the human body. So I think there's a place for both.
Yeah. They should work together.
Right. It depends on what you need. Right. So for holistic health, most people say your diet is your medicine. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, you might have some genetic issues that might cause you to be a precursor to something else. So I believe also that there's a place for allopathic medicine.
Yeah.
That's the traditional meds that you get from a doctor. And sometimes you need that. So if you have an infection and an infection progresses too much, you need something that's immediately going to stop that. Because chances are, if you try a homeopathic way, it might kill you. Like Dr. Phil Valentine, when COVID first came out, I heard, I was listening to all the doctors, and they were struggling with trying to figure out how to address it. And I remember watching Dr. Phil Valentine give a method, like a 5-step method. One of the things he said was, You don't want to get rid of the fever. You just want to make sure it's a low fever, because when your body is experiencing a fever, as long as it's controlled, it's actually, the fever is actually working to expel or to destroy the invader, the bacteria or the virus that's in your body. And after I watched him do it and speak on it, when all these pundits didn't have any answers, then I started noticing the networks, the major networks, talking about ways to treat this particular ailment, and they were utilizing the same methods he was talking about, right? So I think there's a place for it. I think there's a place for it. You know, and this conversation has a different meaning for me. You know, and I'm gonna get into that a little later, but you know, homeopathic medicine actually extended my mother's life 5 to 6 years, when allopathic methods would have given her a 50% chance of living another year. So that's so that part I understand. Now, like I said, what the brother was doing, if you want to talk, like, you should never, as a teacher, instructor, as a professor, I learned that you never present information in a way that it can't be digested by your targeted audience. And I think that's the biggest mistake that happened. You had somebody who talked about this stuff, but they couldn't break it down to the point where people could actually understand it. Some of us think it's really smart of us and intelligent of us to say things that confuse other people. But in hindsight, if you can't break it down, if you can't teach it, or if you can't make it where I can understand, you don't know it well enough to teach it. You might know it well enough to understand it, but you don't know it well enough to teach it. And I'm gonna land my plane right there.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I wanted to, because PC made a good point, and I don't want to come off as if I don't agree with homeopathic medicine or natural remedies, because I do. My view is exactly what PC expressed, which is that there's a place for both. The only thing I really give a lot of credence to in terms of Western medicine is the utilization of tools and technologies for observation. Their ability to actually see what's going on and identify it, recognize it, and kind of label it, get the jump on it early, maybe even before symptoms start showing up. So, but the challenge with something like this, and then, well, I'm not even gonna get into that now, but so that's where we get into. But the bigger issue I have is not with the information he presented, it's with the way he presented it. The information, I think a good chunk of it is bullshit. I will say that, but you can believe it. That's fine. My problem comes into the fact that to me, right, my experience has been people that talk like that are either stupid and want people to think they're smart, young and want people to think they're smart, or a grifter or a scam artist. None of those three different types of people are people that need to be listened to in that moment. The young person needs to age up, gain some maturity so that they understand what PC said. You knowing all these big words does you no good if your audience can't follow it. So we don't want to listen to that person. The stupid person shouldn't be listened to because they're stupid. And the grifter and scam artist shouldn't be listened to because they're a grifter or a scam artist.
Yeah.
Like, and last thing, and I'm gonna land right here though, is like, even when he was talking about he doesn't believe in the immune system, he believes in the lymphatic system. Well, okay, sir, the lymphatic system is not being hidden from anyone. The lymphatic system is a part of the immune system.
When the first name HIV had was lymphotrophic virus 3, something like that, because they understood how it affected the lymph nodes and the lymphatic system. So right there, yeah, the lymphatic system is not being ignored. I can tell you that.
No, it's not. And while we're on it, let's talk about what the lymphatic system does. It manages fluid levels. That is why he's involved in so many different things. Yeah. So that's where I'm like, I don't know if he's a scam artist, he's stupid, or he's just immature. But it doesn't really matter because he shouldn't be listened to. Because none of those people should be listened to.
Yeah. The first thing, like I said earlier, when I heard him phrase herpes and diabetes in the same sense of being able to be treated, let's get an understanding that herpes and diabetes are not the same thing. You can't attack them the same way. We do have evidence, not an abundance of evidence, but we do have evidence of people being able to cure themselves of diabetes by improving their lifestyles, improving the way they eat, drinking more water. Well, yeah, drinking more water, exercising, the things that they told us in elementary school. Because if you listen in elementary school, they told us everything he told us in this interview. He just went a little deeper with the stuff. They said, eat your fruits and vegetables. Because I went to school in Florida. Our education system ain't that good down here. So if we learned it, we know y'all learned it. So they told you to eat your fruits and vegetables, told you to drink your water, told you to get exercise, and they told you to get adequate amount of sleep. And if you were doing those things, if you would have done those things, you would be healthy, right? So let's get that out the way. But let's make sure that we're not looking at the way we would cure diabetes the same way we would attempt to cure herpes. Notice what I said, attempt to cure herpes.
Well, let's also, and PC can speak to this because he self-manages his diabetes with homeopathic medicine.
Right.
PC, would you say that that's actually a cure?
Well, thanks for exposing me, Pat. Appreciate you.
Oh, my fault. My fault.
No,
I just doxed your health, my homie.
Well, yeah.
No, it's all good. No, well, I'm not sure if there's a cure. But I do know that if you exercise regularly, you limit the amount of sugars, and that you know there's certain homeopathics that you take, because basically what diabetes is the breaking down or the shutting down of your pancreas. So when your pancreas isn't functioning properly, your body will start to have responses to it, and so other parts of your body will be overflow, will overload with the different parts. And I can't really get into the technical part of it, but what I can tell you is the biggest key is to reactivate your pancreas, and in terms of reactivating your pancreas, also making sure that the organs that possibly were damaged or the blood systems that possibly were damaged, that you also can treat those with homeopathics as well. So, and I know there are people out there that say you can cure this, and the other. And here's my contention with the curing part. If that person today who has not exhibited any symptoms starts to eat the things or starts to operate in the way that they did prior to, would those symptoms not return? So if you have to maintain a certain lifestyle, then you didn't cure yourself of it. You learned how to manage and keep it under control.
Right. So with that being said,
that was my point. Thank you, and I do apologize for doxing your health.
Nah, that's all right.
but with that being said, so if we're talking about managing the diabetes, so you can't put herpes in the. Herpes is a viral infection that you can basically contract from somebody else.
I don't have herpes.
No, right. Yeah, none of us.
Getting doxed on that too.
We ain't got no HIPAA violations over here. We ain't saying nobody goddamn. We don't know nobody's status, nothing like that. No HIPAA violations over here, right? But he was talking about that in the video, and I work in HIV/AIDS prevention. I work in STD prevention, and within our clinic, we bring people in with all type of diseases and things or infections that people want to call them, and herpes being one of them. I've never seen evidence of somebody being able to cure herpes with anything. I've heard people say herpes can be cured, but I've never seen any evidence. And that's one of the things that we have to start paying attention to when people start talking about these specific things, because what we don't want people to do is get the wrong idea about curing diseases or curing infections and think that, well, if I do this, then I can get this result. And then they don't get the result, the desired result. They get more damage to their body, something that could probably delete them. Wow. I've known a couple people who have had HIV and various other serious viral infections who listened to certain doctors that were considered naturopathic that they trusted in, and they didn't get the best results. Like you too, I'm a firm believer that the Western medicine and the naturopathic or the homeopathic or the allopathic, whatever pathic, all the pathics and the Western medicine can work together to be able to find the best treatment for people, because everybody's body is different. Everybody's makeup is different. I'm not going to try to sit here and act like I'm the biological body guru or the medicine guru. I'm not a medicine guru. I know the diseases that I study. I know them, right? And I know aspects of the body. I'm not a guru on that. But what I do know is when I'm hearing some things and it don't line up. So that's why we want to bring it here to break it down, not to shit on the brother, but to break down certain things, because we want our community to be healthy, and we don't want our community to take information and take it the wrong way and use it the wrong way and get negative results because of something that you heard, but it's not being proven. Like, we're being told about all these people who can cure these things, but we are never giving any concrete proof. Why aren't we ever giving concrete proof? Nobody ever asked that question. We're never giving concrete proof. Are y'all okay with that? If you're okay with that, then I'm not okay with that. I need some concrete proof, because our lives are at stake. We can't continue to be under attack by so many things at one time. It's stressful. It's killing us. Literally. We got to start using our brains. Got to start asking questions. And like you said, I'm mad at Sway for having no pushback. But if you listen, if you go to YouTube, and I can send you all the whole clip, and matter of fact, I put the link to the whole full video in the description. In the video in the beginning, Sway is talking about choosing people with discernment and things, and I'm like, well, right, but this is the same brother that went viral telling human beings that we're not supposed to naturally drink water.
Somebody told me that in person. I said, what the fuck?
No, but seriously, like, because me and Pat had this conversation the other day, like, you're really telling people, human beings, that we're not supposed to drink water, and we're supposed to only eat our water. Really?
Listen,
when that
happened? When people learn that it doesn't, well, we're not really dealing with a lot of smart people out here. So you can say a lot of silly shit. And I mean, I once dated a medical clerk who told me that you didn't need to drink water. You just need to drink cranberry juice. And her explanation for it was that there was a doctor that was on her floor that was currently receiving treatment, and he told her the same thing. Now, what was the doctor in there for? He was in there for kidney failure. So, certain things just, certain jokes just write themselves. And I think a big thing about what you're saying is, I don't think it can't be done. I think it can be done. One of the things that helped my mother was discovering, and in the story, my mother was diagnosed with sarcoidosis back in the 90s. Actually in the 80s. And she had sarcoidosis of the lung. For those of you who don't know, Reggie White, famous football player, Bernie Mac were two famous people who died from it. Floyd Mayweather Sr. currently, I'm not sure, he's still with us, right? Floyd Mayweather Sr.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he currently is dealing with sarcoid. So that, you know, when her doctor told her that from Temple University, I went with her because I realized she hadn't made any improvement in about a year or two. And the doctor she had at Temple came into the room, and he wasn't giving her any direct answers. He just kept trying to get her to take the transplant. We had done research on the transplant at the time. Transplant only guaranteed 6 months to a year. So once we talked to him, and this was back in like 2004, 2005, he basically, I told him, I said flat out, what's going on? I need to know her prognosis because she's not getting better. And he said, well, she has a 50% chance of living another year. Now, that was a shock to me. My mother was my world. So that was a shock to me. And one of the things that happened was, after I brought her home, I sat in my car and I cried like a baby. And I had my pistol in my lap. Because if my mother wasn't guaranteed to live another year, I felt like the doctor that walked her into this corner shouldn't live either. But I had a phone call. Like, I don't know, God, maybe God spoke to me. And I had a phone call. Oh yeah, y'all would not know your brother today. I promise you. Yeah, two situations would have changed immediately that day. So, but a friend, something, you know, just hit me. And I remember that my friend, a friend of mine from college, had just told me about his mother having the same thing, sarcoid. So I called him, and through him, my mother got linked up with a support group, and we met another doctor from a different practice who actually was the leading doctor in the country at the particular time. Now, I'm not going to say his name because I want to protect his, you know, professionalism and things of that nature, because he started working with her, and through non-traditional methods and experimental medicines, he was able to improve her condition drastically. And he did it with a lot of his patients. Unfortunately, he had started curing patients to the point where they didn't need the services anymore. So the other doctors that were part of his practice voted to kick him out of the practice. So this is what we know about modern medicine. The money is not in the cure, it's in the treatment.
Right.
So once we lost sight of him, her health started declining again. So I started doing a lot of research, and I actually caught up with that doctor. That doctor was open to different medical possibilities, even homeopathic, if it works. And we were able to research a trial that took place in Europe for a silkworm enzyme and serrapeptase. And between serrapeptase, goji berries, and things of that nature, those things helped. You know, the serrapeptase helped with the healing because this particular enzyme dissolves, scabbing and all sorts of, scar tissue. It helped a little, but he wasn't able to work directly with her. So but we were able to navigate a way utilizing homeopathics and things of that nature. And I'm only pointing that out to say it brought my mother, like I said, about 5-6 more years. My mother died. She succumbed to her illness mostly because of what I feel like it was some malpractice that took place in the hospital she was in. She succumbed to pneumonia in 2009. But had that not been the case, she might still be here today. And I think what we're talking about is things that can be done. You can actually, if the work is what they say it is, why can't you have clinical trials? Just like the FDA supposedly, holds the other medical companies, the allopathic medicine companies to that standard. You can have your own trials. He said he had charts. Well, let's see these charts. Where's your proof? And I think that would alleviate a lot of question and confusion in terms of the ability to actually cure these. Now, I will put one caveat out there. It is dangerous for them to actually show that they're curing people. Because there was a period in this country where hundreds of naturopathic doctors were being eliminated.
Yeah,
in this country,
it was around 200 during that time span. But okay, going back to what I said earlier though, in elementary school they told us to eat our fruits and vegetables, drink our water, exercise, and get the proper amount of sleeps. Because we refuse to do that within our community, because we refuse to do that, so we have people who need the medicines to regulate the illnesses and the disease that they have in their body. So that now they need these medicines. And okay, well, we know these medicines aren't the best overall for some people. Some people don't have the best results from them, right? So not only are we continuing to choose to eat the wrong foods, we're not taking care of our bodies, and that now we're stuck on these medicines. And then, a brother like this comes across and he tells you what you've been told already your whole life, how to take care of yourself. And so going back to what Pat said earlier, I am mad at the listeners. I'm mad at the listeners because, for one, you are listeners. You are in a position to listen to this and not really pick up on it, but you haven't done what you need to do to take care of yourself in the first place. You've neglected your body, you've neglected your health, and now you're in this place where you're getting this information, you're getting this basic biology information, and you're taking it as if it's the God sent information that you've never heard before. But another problem in that is some of the information that's given in that is it's not good information. It's not accurate information because it's telling you that, hey, this natural stuff can cure this. No, what we know healthy diet. The healthier you are, the less disease you have in your body.
Well, I think the point that PC made, I want to jump on that for a little bit before I jump into another point. That point being that it's dangerous to say that you've cured anything. To me, that point, right, without proof. And even with proof, it could be. If they get to you before you get out.
Yeah, on that other end.
Right. So, but I think that is another reason why I disbelieve so many of these people. Because you're still alive. You're still espousing that you can do these things. If you were really a threat, you wouldn't be here. Like even if we gonna say the government ain't on that type of time no more, that's fine. The pharmaceutical companies are. These major corporations are. Like we still reading about people that's getting knocked off for finding new ways to run cars off water. If you believe that sort of thing.
The guy in the Buffalo shooting with the water, with the machine that can create water out of the vapors.
Yeah, like we're so, but then even beyond that, there's the feel good, easy solution aspect of it, which is what both of you guys have kind of been hitting on, but what you were really hitting on, Joe. This is where I think the danger of it really is for the listeners. He's basically saying, you can do all the fucked up shit you want to do. I give you these herbs and you'll be better. That's how that falls into the mind of a listener.
So to be fair, I do have to, because it was, so if you listen to the full clip, if you listen to stuff he's saying before that, he is telling people to live a healthy lifestyle because he goes into his story about it. But so I do want to add that because I just want to say within this interview, he is telling people to live.
No,
he's not telling them to crash out. Now.
It's not enough, because this is what I'm saying. And this is why I love that we do clips.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need to, if I were to go on Sway in the morning, I would understand that nobody's going to consume most people aren't going to consume the interview in its entirety. They're going to chunk it. Right. So I need to put the most important aspects of my message in every single chunk that I can. I just want to emphasize we need to live healthy. I just want to. I know I done said it 10 times. I'm gonna say it 11. We need to live healthy. That way it gets in as many chunks. So even in that, I'm still. It doesn't change what I'm saying that he said it later on, because we just listened to a 5-minute clip where he didn't mention it. So we go there. Then we get on to this other kid. And this doesn't mean that you're stupid or anything like that. It just means that you haven't really read the documents. I'm not even going to say you haven't researched. You haven't read the documents. This Dr. Sebi thing, I've been ignoring it for a long time. Even at one point, I believed it. I will open
the lawsuit.
The lawsuit. I had to go and read the document for myself because I wanted to make sure that I was believing something.
We read it before it was years ago. We read the document because I remember we were on the phone and we read the document together. So it's just been a while.
Yeah, it's been a number of years. But Dr. Sebi did not win that lawsuit saying that he cured AIDS. He did win a lawsuit saying that they were trying to say that he was distributing medicine without a license. He won that lawsuit because he wasn't distributing medicine. He was distributing herbs and natural remedies. So he won that lawsuit. They were trying to sue him for some type of malpractice. The lawsuit that said that he had cured people of AIDS, he did not win that lawsuit. He backed down and ended up having an injunction put on him where he could no longer advertise his products as curing AIDS, leukemia, sickle cell, herpes, cancer, or any of those other things. He did not produce the proof, which goes back, and that's not even me saying that he didn't cure the things. Pay attention to what I'm saying. He might very well have cured some shit. I'm never going to say he didn't. I don't know what he did. What I do know is when he got called to task and was told that he needed to produce proof, he failed to produce proof. So my issue is not did Dr. Sebi do it or not. My issue is we keep running around saying he won a lawsuit proving that he did it, and that is in fact not true.
Right,
it's not true. Why not? You don't have to work at a pharmaceutical company to do testing. If this brother got the money to buy all of these high quality thermal telescopes and all of these other things that he said, if he got a lab where he can fit $100,000 telescopes in to look at cells and look at all of this shit, then I gotta believe he got the resources somewhere to fund an actual study. Go through the process. Go through your own process. We keep talking about black, and I agree because I'm one of them. Black people need to shut up their own health stations. We need to set up our own healthcare industry, complete with oversight, restrictions, committees, and all of that stuff to look into our own remedies and interventions. We need to do that. Okay, if you got the money to do all of the shit you talking about you doing with cells, then the question becomes, why are you taking this approach instead of taking an approach that would be systemic in terms of its impact? Why not try to create a structure for other black scientists graduating from these schools to come in, study this stuff, use your resources to study, create governing bodies that can manage this stuff, create a safe pipeline. You should also be concerned about snake oil salesmen and people that are trying to get over on the community at the expense of the health of the community. You should also be interested in stopping that from happening. So you should want to create a black regulatory body for healthcare services and all of these other things. If you got the money to create a laboratory where you can do all the shit you saying you can do, it would actually be cheaper to create a black regulatory body than to fully flesh out a medical laboratory.
Or just show your proof of your work. But now I get what you're saying, but it would be beneficial to doing something like that in the long run. But we're at this place in time to where information like this, it goes out. Black people are fanatical, and that's one of the things that irks me about our people. We're fanatical. So If it sounds good and it's presented good, we'll just run with it. And the excuse what people will say, well, I mean, he do be saying some good stuff. And that's it. As long as it sounds good. And they say some good stuff. All of the other stuff on the back end that doesn't help us, it goes overlooked.
The one thing I do recognize, and it's something we need to get past. We need to, and I always say we function from everything. We treat everything like children. So it's like every day we're waiting on Santa Claus to sort of provide us with, we're going to have Christmas presents under the tree just because we put it on the wish list. We are very demoralized people. Demoralized people often seek entertainment and often seek different diversions and often become delusional when it comes to seeking solutions to things. And if somebody can tell us that we don't have to put in all the work, I mean, I understand Black people have worked hard. Being Black is hard. It's really hard. Then a lot of people are going to try to do the get rich quick scheme sort of thing, the quick solution, the microwave solution. And this is not like a new thing. The people selling hope to people who are hopeless. There are currently preachers on television right now who are selling prayer cloths and anointed oil.
So hold up, you're not saying it right.
Okay,
it's the prayer cloth, the holy water, and the manna bread, and you got to only buy it off of BET like 3 a.m. So.
But the people are buying it, and that's the thing, and praying and holding on to it, and it's one of those things where it it's like playing a lottery.
Too gullible.
I know people. We didn't know about it. Yeah, I know people who actively look at the lottery as a potential solution to their financial ills. Like, if I just hit this lottery, my life would be turned around. Yeah, anybody that hits the lottery's life needs to be turned around, but the probability is very slim. You have a chance of being bitten by a shark and struck by lightning at the same time. A better chance of that than actually hitting the lottery. At least the big ones anyway.
But, them words, possibility and probability. We got to start looking at that and using those words within our vocabulary. Is it a possibility that we can cure these diseases with natural remedies? It's a possibility, but what's the probability? Right? And how often is it happening? It's just I know that's the part I keep hitting on, but it's just very, very, very dangerous because I work in the world of STD prevention. And, like I tell people, the number one people that we tell that they have something is Black people. We got the highest rates for a reason. So we got to be careful about who we getting our information from. But go back and get you a basic biology book. Study biology, actually study biology for yourself. Learn your body, learn how the body works. Once again, we all think that Western medicine and naturopathic medicine, all the pathics can work together. We believe that they can work together to help a person heal themselves, but we also believe in healthy lifestyles. You have to have a healthy lifestyle. You have to eat right. You have to eat your fruits and vegetables. Once again, you have to drink your water, exercise, and get proper amounts of sleep. You do those things and you can extend your life, and you will reduce the amount of ailments and diseases and infections that you will have in your body. The older you get, the lighter you should be, the better you should eat. More fruits and vegetables. The older you get, the bigger size of your plate. I was having a conversation earlier. The fruits and vegetables should be your entree. Your grains, your vegetables, all the stuff that we call sides, those stuff should be your entree, especially your fruits and vegetables should be the entree, and the meat should be the side. Start thinking about it like that. Start rearranging how we live. What is health? What does health mean to you? How long do you want to live? Right? Think about the things that you may be limited in doing because of your health. right now. Like, you know, we all know as we get older, the body starts to deteriorate as we get older, but that's why we're supposed to take care of ourselves. So, you know, when you're 35, 40 and you're like, man, I've been sitting here all day and I hurt. Well, you know, you ain't really supposed to be doing that at like 35, 40. You do know that, right? I know we're used to hearing people say that, but at 35, 40, you ain't supposed to be going through that. So that means you're not as healthy as your body supposed to be. So we got to fix that. We have to be better, but we have to get better information. Stop being zealot. Stop being fanatical. That boy sound good, but is it correct? That's where it goes. So, look, man. Once
so
again,
one thing, because I know you're about to break down. I just want to say one thing real quick, and I just want to, you know, give my I mean, we Philly is a violent city. A lot of things happen. Recently, we had a shooting at a masjid at the that was supposed to celebrate the ending of Ramadan. Now, I myself am not a Muslim, but I am black, and so I feel for all the people who gathered in prayer and had that tragically interrupted by a group of teenagers that were engaged in a gun battle at the masjid out of Sister Claire Muhammad here in Philadelphia. So just want to get my thoughts and prayers to all the people and the families involved. And we got to do better, black people. We got to do better.
Yeah, we definitely got to do better. We got to be better, and we got to be smarter and be healthier. All right. FetLifeStation.com, you know, link is in the description. FetLifeStation.com. Pat, the information about Dr. Sabi, can you send me the link to that? To put that in the description. And then we're going to put also the full link to the Sway interview in the description as well, so y'all can see that. So y'all can, you know, let's make sure we're gathering information. But of course, you know, here we encourage critical thinking and questioning everything. So let's be smart, let's be healthy, and be better. See y'all later.